Welcome to Valuers Outlook, where estate surveyors and valuers offer expert insights to the current economic trends in the real estate sector of Abuja.
Good day, viewers. Welcome to another edition of Valuers Outlook. My name is 𝗓𝗓𝗡𝗦𝗓. I'm an estate surveyor and valuer, and also the publicity secretary of Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, NIEV's Abuja branch. I'll be anchoring this program with my noble colleague here. Kindly introduce yourself.
My name is 𝗓𝗓𝗡𝗦𝗓. I'm also a member of the publicity team. We are here to anchor the program too.
You're welcome. Okay, now we'll be introducing our guest speaker, who is Estate Surveyor and Valuer 𝗓𝗓𝗡𝗦𝗓. He is a fellow of the institution and also the principal consultant of 𝗓𝗓𝗡𝗥𝗦. You're welcome on board, sir.
Thank you.
Good to have you here, sir.
Yeah.
We're highly...
I'm glad to have you too.
Yeah,
and
thank you,
welcome
sir.
to my office.
Our topic for discussion today is on the challenges faced by the government in compiling an asset register from all their MDAs and Parastatals, which are required as one of the standard procedure in preparing their financial statements. Okay, we know that the Accountant General of the Federation once mentioned that they do not have an accurate data of both their assets and their liabilities, and this may affect the general view of their financial standing, and also in making decisions, major decisions such as budget allocation for various sections of the economy, sectors of the economy. So now, sir, we would like to ask you, what is your outlook on this, since it borders on valuation, which is our core competence in estate surveying and valuation, in estate surveying and valuation profession. So I'd like to know that, and if you also negate the fact that, you know, since accountants are, they can give a book value, if that also affects what we can do about it as estate surveyors and valuers. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. The question you have asked, the background you laid,
Yes,
and the question you had is very diverse. So I will attempt to put the issues straight so that they are not lumped up together.
Okay.
First, on the issue of asset register and not having the asset register properly. You see, government is not making use of its structure, in the sense that there's a Department of Lands and Urban Development in the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development.
Okay.
And that department is supposed to be the custodian of all government properties in the country. If you go to that ministry, you will see files on properties from the colonial era till date. But then subsequently, you still have some agencies of government created, ad hoc committee on this, ad hoc committee on that. Then you also have different MDAs, buy property, acquire property, you know, all that. And when they do, they don't pull the information. So probably if you go to that Department of Land, which is the only department that generates revenue in that ministry, from ground rent and some other sources, consent and some other sources, if you go to that department, you won't find all the necessary information domiciled there, because people are just, you know, different parts, they are just holding on to the information on government property. And you now take that to the office of the Accountant General. If all that information is in that Department of Lands and Urban Development, then it would have been very easy for the office of the Accountant General to extract, to request for any information from that department. That department also has government valuers. land administrators, they have them in that department. But because people just want to do their own thing their own way without thinking of the real public interest, they put aside that department and do whatever they want to do. So I think the first step is to have all government assets domiciled in the proper place. And then we can then talk about the valuation of those assets for public accounting.
Okay. To answer like now the second question, because we keep hearing that accountants can also give a book value of these assets. Is it a wise way to go concerning this?
You see, people need to
government, yes.
Yeah, you see, people need to understand. I like to explain things from the basics. People need to understand what valuation is and what led to the accountants themselves after the Enron cases and all that, asking valuers should be the ones to give them the values of those assets, whether private assets when you talk of IFRS or public assets when you talk of IPSAS. Because what is valuation? Valuation is having a professional give an independent and objective assessment of the value of an asset to the user. It may be for different purposes. You see, there are certain ethics. Accountants just using book value is tantamount to a doctor treating himself. I know that is not ethically right. Because when you don't have an independent and objective mind, whatever you come up with can be tainted. And that was actually what happened, that Enron and all those organizations ran into trouble. So for public assets too, imagine somebody wants to take a loan, and a state government or even an organization, they have to take a loan, they want to take a loan, and they just write the value of their property and bring. Should that be trusted? Should that be accepted? But when people understand what market value is, you see, a lot of people think valuation is voodoo. Valuation is not voodoo. It is something that is within the purview of a trained professional who will use his judgment, his knowledge, and different to advise on the value of an asset for a particular purpose or for different purposes. Because the value of an asset for purchase, for instance, is different from the value of an asset for insurance.
Definitely, sir.
Yeah. So people need to know that. And yes, and I'm an advocate of valuation and valuation day, and the theme of the valuation day this year is valuation the key to financial stability. And why do we say financial stability? What is stability? If you talk about physics, stability simply means that the weight of a structure is properly distributed for something to be stable. If a car is moving and it is not stable, if the weight is not properly distributed, you will see it it will move imbalance. Yes. Because balance also means stability.
Yes.
Balance also means stability. So for you to take the proper decisions, whether you are an individual, whether you are a family, whether you are a community, whether you are a corporate organization, whether you are a state government, local government, international organizations, for you to take decisions on your assets, on your land, you need to have them objectively and independently valued by those that have that expertise. There are so many things I can say about it, but I just want to restrain myself to those basics that people will understand. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Thank you
I
so
want to
much.
do a follow-up to this very question that my colleague just asked. We did talk about the public aspect of it, not having a domicile place where information are. Now, is there any role we as an estate surveyor, as an institution can do to help the public to be able to achieve this which you have stated?
First, on the issue of government assets, the fact is the institution to have the records of the government asset is there. That's the Department of Land and Urban Development. It's the people in government that are not making use of that structure, that department. It is there. So there is nothing to say than to encourage them, to advocate, to let them know that it is better to have things done properly, to build that record over time. And for real estate, government assets, there's a department that has the history, the records, and the personnel, and that have the expertise, and they are not being made use of. So it is to let those in government know that that place needs to be strengthened. And let me just say this in passing. You see, government also loses a lot of revenue from not having those records in the proper place. Because how do you get ground rent from all those assets? If you go to Lagos, there are many abandoned properties. There are many of them. And now when you talk of the asset register, which you are talking about, it is when you then have those assets properly registered, properly domiciled, that is when you can then do the valuation, do the appraisal, and know what is the best decision to be taken on each one of them. You go to post office at either area 10 or in zone 3, you see land being wasted, you see people selling food. These things can be properly organized. And when you properly organize, you create more employment, you create value. Even the owners of the property, whether NIPOS or Ministry of Communication, they also make more money. You see, when we say valuation is the key to financial stability, it's because of the lack of valuation that you have that imbalance, either at the family level, when you don't know the value of your assets, you tend to put more money in assets that are of low value when you should invest that money, because it's scarce. It's a scarce money, is a scarce resource.
Yeah.
So where do you invest the little you have? It is when you have an idea of the value and the returns you will get from it. That's why valuation is important to every individual, every organization, every community, government, state government, organizations. Many people, they see valuation as a tool for the elites. But why I call myself a valuation advocate is that knowledge of value that an estate surveyor and valuer can assist you to give you that information on the value of your asset should be available to everybody. Not just the billionaires. The billionaires don't buy property on impulse. They ask a professional, how much should I pay on this property? Before you came in, I was in a discussion with a client, and that was one of the things we were discussing, that he said he would take me to see something he has interest in, because he knows that he needs a professional who knows his onions to advise him. If not, if that is not done, that financial instability will continue.
Wow, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Our viewers, hope you got something from this expert outlook. Hope it was beneficial to you. See you next time. Bye-bye.